All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a really energetic deep dive into what is, hands down, the most controversial, polarizing, and yet undeniably effective tactic in all of modern football. Whether you call it pragmatic, ugly, or just straight up brilliant, this strategy literally flips the script on how the beautiful game is traditionally played. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever watched a football match and just thought, wait, what am I even looking at right now? Like, is this a sport or a chaotic survival experiment? Well, what you're seeing is exactly what happens when football is intentionally stripped of its beauty. It's a style of play that causes just this visceral frustration for fans and purists alike. Why? Because it completely lacks creativity. It opts instead to totally neutralize the opponent and kind of drain the game of any joy or entertainment value. It's scrappy, it's intensely physical, and it is specifically designed to make technically superior teams absolutely miserable.
To really understand the emotional stakes here and just the sheer desperation opposing managers feel when facing this strategy, you have to look at this famous quote. After his incredibly vibrant Liverpool side was shut out by Chelsea back in 2014, manager Brendan Rodgers lamented, "They parked 2 buses rather than 1. From the first minute, they had 10 men behind the ball." I mean, just imagine it. You're dominating the ball, racking up hundreds of passes, and you're just hitting a literal brick wall for 90 straight minutes. It completely breaks opposing teams mentally.
So here's our game plan for today. First, the viral phenomenon. Second, the anatomy of the low block. Third, mastering the dark arts. Fourth, historical milestones. Fifth, the ideological clash. And finally, beauty versus results.
Section 1, the viral phenomenon.
So recently, internet and meme culture has basically given rise to this term, Haramball, which was historically known as anti-football, is this highly defensive style that completely prioritizes preventing goals over scoring them. It relies heavily on deep blocks, tactical fouls, and just completely bypassing the midfield. You see, the term haram, meaning forbidden, is used jokingly by fans to imply that the football is so boring, so devoid of creativity, that it honestly feels almost forbidden to watch. But the core concept here is that this system is all about prioritizing pure survival over aesthetics.
And this really maps out the ultimate philosophical clash on the pitch right now. On one side, you've got Haramball. It's rooted in absolute pragmatism, defense, and disruption. Then, on the opposite end, you have Halalball. This prioritizes aesthetics, heavy possession, and pure entertainment. Think of Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka or classic total football. It's the ultimate clash between playing to win at literally all costs versus playing to entertain.
Section 2, anatomy of the low block.
Right, so the absolute foundation of this defensive style is what's known as the low block. Step 1 is dropping deep. All 10 outfield players retreat to relentlessly protect the defensive third. Then step 2 is compressing space. The distance between the forwards, midfielders, and defenders is kept to an absolute minimum, which creates this compact, suffocating wall. Finally, step 3. When the ball is eventually won, the team has to counterattack incredibly quickly into those wide-open areas left by the advancing opponent. Honestly, executing this perfectly is an exhausting reality. Conceding possession means you're constantly under immense pressure. It's a calculated, rigorous choice, and it requires supreme discipline. Let's look at the key characteristics and see how this builds into a complete, overarching strategy. Basically, you bypass the midfield by launching the ball long, which completely neutralizes the opponent's pressing traps. You happily concede possession. You sit in these incredibly deep defensive lines. You rely heavily on set pieces, treating every single corner or long throw like a golden opportunity. And you enforce physical dominance through perfectly timed tactical fouls. When you summarize these ingredients, it really proves that Haramball isn't just accidental chaos. No, it's highly organized, incredibly disciplined mental warfare, specifically designed to drag a superior passing team into a really uncomfortable street fight. Section 3, Mastering the Dark Arts. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this number right here, 24%. That is the shockingly low amount of possession Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan had when they successfully knocked a prime, absolutely dominant Barcelona out of the 2010 Champions League semifinal. They essentially just let Barcelona pass the ball around in non-threatening areas, held their impenetrable defensive shape, and advanced to the final. It's the ultimate proof that you really do not need the ball to completely control a football match. And this disruptive philosophy translates into some truly wild modern metrics. Just look at Spanish club Getafe under manager Jose Bartolás. They average around 40% possession, commit over 15 fouls per game, and routinely rack up over 100 yellow cards in a single season. I mean, critics literally call it UFC with a football. But the sheer absurdity of these physical tactics is that they're highly effective. It allows a club with a fraction of the budget of, say, Real Madrid or Barcelona to survive, compete, and massively frustrate the giants of La Liga.
Section 4. Historical milestones.
Now, you should know this concept isn't entirely new. Actually, the term anti-football was notably used as far back as 1968 to describe the hyper-physical tactics of Argentine club Estudiantes in the Copa Intercontinental. Fast forward to 2004, and Mourinho's FC Porto shocked Europe by winning the Champions League with a deeply pragmatic approach. We already mentioned Inter Milan's 2010 defensive masterclass. And of course, who could forget 2016 when Iceland used gritty, highly organized defensive blocks to completely shock England at the Euros? Basically, from South America to Iceland, this pragmatic approach has consistently toppled giants for decades. But behind every villainous tactic is a mastermind. Jose Mourinho built his massive legacy at Chelsea and Inter Milan on defensive solidity and psychological mind games. Then you have Diego Simeone, who transformed Atletico Madrid into a European powerhouse through a compact structure and an absolute willingness to just suffer without the ball. Over in England, Sean Dyche kept Burnley afloat for years with low possession, hard tackling resilience. And as we just discussed, Jose Bordalas utilizes immense UFC-style physicality. All of these architects share one key trait. They completely embrace being the villain if it means securing a result.
Section 5. The ideological clash. As you might expect, the purist backlash is incredibly strong. When Rangers used a deep block to hold Barcelona to a 0-0 draw back in 2007, a visibly frustrated Lionel Messi openly accused them of playing anti-football. More recently, World Cup winning manager Lionel Scaloni echoed this exact sentiment, warning that we are losing the essence of the game and that the beauty of football should not be lost. For these legends, and honestly for millions of fans watching at home, this mechanical, heavily structured approach feels like a complete betrayal of the creativity and spontaneity that makes football the beautiful game in the first place.
But then, you immediately contrast those purists with an unapologetic pragmatist like Jose Mourinho, who famously declared, "Teams of good guys, they never win." So the absolutely crucial point is this. When you lack a billion-dollar squad, survival instincts have to take over. You simply can't outpass a team of world-class superstars, but you can outwork them, outmuscle them, and frustrate them until they finally break. Section 6. Beauty versus results. So, what you should really take away from all this is that Haramball serves as the sport's great equalizer. It levels the playing field, allowing smaller clubs to frustrate and conquer the game's elite giants. And why does this matter to you as a viewer? Well, because as much as people complain about defensive football being boring, that underdog mentality makes this ugly tactic weirdly compelling. There is unparalleled drama in watching a scrappy team with 20% possession grind out a 1-0 win against a financial juggernaut. It's raw, it's historic, and honestly, it is unforgettable. So we'll end on this final provocative question for you to chew on. If defense wins titles, does beauty even matter? Does the route to victory actually matter? Or is it just the final result on the scoreboard that counts? It's a debate that will definitely continue to rage on in pubs, in the stands, and in living rooms around the world for as long as the game is played. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next one.